Welcome back to my channel, where we explore how to develop your soft skills and create the life you desire. Today, I have a question for you. Do you ever get upset at other people? Maybe you get upset and then you want to understand them, you want to feel less angry, annoyed inside, but you struggle to do so. That's completely normal. But in this video, I'm going to tell you 7 winning thoughts that you can keep in mind in order to read other people's perspectives. Make sure you watch this video until the end because there will be a lot of thoughts to remember and they are very, very important. So don't worry, at the end of the video, I am going to recap them all so that you can have a list to keep at hand anytime you need. Thought number 1, maybe we just work differently. What does it mean? It means that at times we struggle to see other people's perspectives because we expect the rest of the world to work exactly as we do. Reality is that we're all wired in a different way. So don't mind, you know that everyone is wired differently. Keeping this in mind will help you to just notice that, okay, we can disagree, but disagreeing doesn't mean that I need to get upset. At times we say, I'm angry because she thinks that. Okay, maybe I don't agree with what she thinks, but why do I need to be angry? If this was the cause of this, it's not necessarily the case. So knowing that at times we just work differently will help you already to lower it down. Thought number 2, if they're thinking this, they have a good reason for it. Now, this is a bit tough for some people at times. Why? Because at times there seems to be no good reason to think something so different from what we are thinking. Reality is that if someone has a certain thought, it's because in their rationale, it makes sense. And we need to keep this in mind because when we realize that, okay, there is some way, some world in which what they are thinking makes sense, then at that point our focus is not anymore on fighting what they're thinking, but understanding where is it that it makes sense. Number 3, I am not always right, even when I'm sure about something. I'm sorry to break it to you, but you are not always right. And I am not always right, and no one is always right. We need to make peace with this, okay, I need to be right thing. Because for ego, for pride, we just want to believe that we are always right. And both outside, so others need to know that we are right, and inside, so also when others will never know what we think, it's hard to let go what we used to believe. Reality is that our perspective, our point of view evolves if we are open-minded, if we are growing, if we are maturing. So it's fine. It's fine if we're not right. It's fine if we admit to it. It's fine if we just learn how to embrace someone else's point of view instead of fighting it. Number 4, even if they were wrong last time, they might be right this time. This is very interesting because at times we label people. Let me rephrase that. We always label people, and we label people all the time. So if the first time I meet you, you are an interesting person and I love your points of view, I may tend to believe that you're always an interesting person and that your points of view are always valid. On the other side, if last time you really thought something that was very far away from what I thought, I may have that in mind as a label for you all the time. And I believe that in any future encounter that we have, you will always be wrong and I will always be right. Well, this is not the case. Every new scenario is a scenario in itself. So the point of view that you have on a topic, although affected by your experience, which is the same for every topic, it may differ. So maybe you were wrong last time, or you were thinking something different from what I was thinking last time, but this doesn't mean that this time you are wrong as well, or that this time we can't find an agreement too. So keep this in mind because this is one of the reasons why at times we don't even listen to the other person. We already prejudge. Thought number 5, everyone has a valid point of view. Some people are like, okay, let me switch off. No, it's true. At times we believe that some people just can't think properly. We need to remember the other point that we said already, because when we say something, when we think something, there is a reason behind it. So I believe this. I believe that if you are thinking something that's so different from my point of view, it means that there is a reason for it. So my goal is in understanding, okay, why are you thinking that thing that for me is so different from my point of view? So if we assume that everyone has a valid point of view, maybe we're not always right. But 99% of the times we will find why that person is thinking that reason. And even though we may not agree with their point at the end, at least we won't be upset. Because when there is understanding, anger goes away. Number 6, there are a lot of right ways to do things. Let me repeat it, there are a lot of right ways to do things. And this is very important because I saw people really fighting over this thing. I saw people fight, well, this is the right way to do it. No, this is the right way to do it. This is the right... Now, by nature, I've always been very, very inclusive. So I'm always like, okay, I think this is a good idea. And then, oh, I think that's a good idea too. And initially, I always thought it was a problem because it was hard for me to make up my mind about things because I would listen to you and I would say, oh, wow, this makes sense. Then I would listen to someone else, oh, wow, this makes sense. And of course, this had to be toned down because otherwise I would never have my own opinions. But it also helped me to see that actually there are a lot of right ways to do things. When I went to China for a year and they were doing certain things completely different from what we were doing in the Western world, some people were getting upset at Chinese people for behaving in a certain way or at us for behaving in another way. But at times it's really just a matter of different possibilities. There are 100 possibilities to do this thing. Well, I have selected this one, you have selected that one. That doesn't mean that one of the two is wrong. It could also be that they are both right, just different. Number 7, there might be something I am not seeing. Why am I saying this? Because if I listen to you and I don't understand your point of view, I often think it's your fault. I often think that, okay, probably we're just thinking differently, you don't understand, you come from a different place, and maybe we try to tell ourselves that, yeah, okay, it doesn't matter, but inside we're annoyed, how can they think this, how can they think that? If we just think, okay, listen, there's something I'm not seeing. If I still am not understanding what you mean, why it makes sense for you, what is it that I am not seeing? At that point, we activate the possibility that there is something there that I'm just not seeing, which is easier than trying to understand, because if I'm not understanding it, okay, how can I understand it? It's not always easy to understand everything, but seeing, it's just a matter of looking. So if there is something that I'm not seeing, where do I need to look in order to find it? If I'm talking with you, let me listen carefully, let me see your point of view, let me try to put myself in your shoes in order to see the world from your eyes, and that will change everything. You will see that by remembering and internalizing these 7 points, you will just start seeing that maybe the world seen from another person's eyes is just a bit different from the world seen from your eyes. But this doesn't mean that it's a different world, this doesn't mean that it's a wrong world. There are also 2 other sentences that I want to give you as a bonus, because the ones that we spoke about are related to specific situations. So maybe it's a person that I also agree with in other instances, but in those situations I can't, then remember those 7 points. In other situations though, there is the person that I don't agree with. So their presence in my life is a no, no, no. Okay? In that case, I would like you to have these 2 bonus sentences because they will help you to start seeing the presence of that person in your life on a different light. The first one is, if this person is in my life right now, it means that they can teach me something. They can teach me something doesn't mean they can teach me how I don't want to have people around, which kind of people I will never spend time with, and so on, because that's a negative lesson. Okay, no, they can teach me something good for me. At times we are so focused on seeing why the other person is wrong, why the other person is bad, why the other person is a minus in our life and so on, that we don't really look at all the things that are actually teaching us. We want to be so right in our opinion towards them that we don't observe, we don't see that if they are in our life right now, they can teach us something. Not because they are extraordinary necessarily, but because we can see something in them that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to see. So what is it that you're seeing in them that otherwise you wouldn't be able to learn? Second thought is a sentence that I heard some time ago, and initially I couldn't really understand it, but it really means a lot. And it is, there, but for the grace of God, go I. What does it mean? it means that at times we just look at people and we think, okay, I am better than you are, I'm in a better position than you are, I have better thoughts than you have. But this sentence is meant to really help you lower down your arrogance and increase your humility. It's like, okay, if it wasn't for certain circumstances, I could be in their place. So being a bit more thankful, being a bit more grateful, a bit more humble, realizing that if we had had different experiences in life, different people around, maybe we could have been thinking the same thing that they are. Maybe we could have been the same person that they are. And we are not. So thank you, I'm grateful, but instead of hating your presence in my life, I thank the fact that I can remember that if even just some small things had been different in my life, I wouldn't be where I am, but I would be in your shoes. So I love this sentence because it allows you to just reconnect with your humility and realize that, I mean, we never know where we could have been. We just know where we are. So let's be grateful of where we are without judging other people's journeys. One thing that I've learned for sure in all these years teaching soft skills is that it is impossible to judge someone else unless you have experienced every single second of their life in their shoes. And given that this is impossible, we have no right to judge someone else, but just because we don't know what they've been through. And if we remember this, it will be so much easier to apply all the 9 points that I told you. Thank you for watching. Make sure that if you have thoughts or questions, you share them with me. And if you enjoyed this video, watch also these two because you will find them very, very interesting. Screenshot the list to have it always with you and see you in the next video.